Ready? All right, seeing that we have a quorum up here, I want to call this meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Vice President, just for as a point of order on the phone, we have Clerk Treasurer Jenny Piercy and President Tom Pato. So they
All
are
right, thank
involved
you.
in this meeting with you all.
All right, I would like to talk about the minutes from the March 4th, 2020 meeting. Is there any discussion about that before we move for approval, or?
I move to approve.
I second it.
So Mrs. Piercy has advised that she will do a roll call vote whenever you're ready for one.
We're ready for one.
Okay.
It's been
Miss-
moved and seconded.
Mrs. Piercy, the minutes have, motion's been made to approve and properly seconded. Would you like to do a roll call vote?
Yes, and can Tom vote?
Yes, he is
As
allowed,
well.
he is allowed to vote because of the extenuating circumstances.
Okay, perfect. So Greg Van Leer,
Aye.
Aye,
Nancy Levitt,
Aye.
she votes aye.
Tom Pato,
He votes aye.
David Winters,
Aye.
He votes aye.
Chris Gerald.
Aye.
He votes aye.
All right, now it's time for the public comment phase. Is there anyone here from the public that wants to address the council? All right. As there's no one here that wants to address the council, let's go into the public meeting part. And we want to talk first about Resolution 1, 2020, the CCD rate.
Madam Vice President, I bring before you tonight Resolution 1-2020. This is a resolution reestablishing our CCD rate at its maximum, or the not to exceed 0.05 on each $100 of assessed evaluation. This is a common procedure for the town of Danville. It's a descending rate that if we don't take action upon it, it actually gets reduced every year, and we lose thousands of dollars that we apply normally to our building fund.
All right, is there any discussion on this proposal?
So Mark, is that .05, is that the rate that it is, or was last year and
That's correct.
is currently?
It's
Thank
the
you.
maximum rate, and it'll descend to 0.04 if we don't take an action.
So this is not a tax increase. This
No.
is just establishing.
Just reestablishing.
Reestablishing,
The
gotcha.
current rate, yes, sir.
Okay.
Because it's a resolution, it only requires the one reading tonight.
Is there any other discussion on this resolution? Resolution for reestablishing a cumulative capital development fund. Can I hear a motion to reestablish this fund?
I'll make a motion to reestablish the Cumulative Capital Development Fund at .05.
Do I have a second?
Prior to Mr. Pato seconding, Mr. Winters did second. Mrs. Piercy, the motion was made by Mr. Van Leer and seconded by Mr. Winters. Madam Vice President, are you ready for a call for vote?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we're ready for a call.
Greg Van Leer,
Aye.
Votes aye.
Nancy Levitt,
Aye.
Votes aye.
Tom Pato,
Votes aye.
David Winters,
Aye.
Votes aye.
Chris Gerald.
Votes aye.
All right, the next thing on our agenda is a proclamation by the Danville Town Council to proclaim March 29th, 2020 as Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day. And David Winters is going to read a portion of this proclamation for us.
We'll keep this really short. A proclamation by the Danville Town Council to proclaim March 29th, 2020 as Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day. So thank you to all of our Vietnam veterans.
There's only about 3 of us in here old enough to remember the Vietnam War, personally. So I was going to ask if there were any vets in the audience, but I don't think so.
We will,
All right.
we'll get this signed at the end of this meeting, and I will contact the young lady who requested it from DAR, and we'll make sure she gets the proclamation.
All right, thank you very much.
Ma'am.
Amphitheater project. Will Lacey.
All right. I put together a little packet, kind of a summary of the whole project there for you. Something we've been working on for about 2 or 3 years. The amphitheater was hit by a tree, damaged it enough to not put it back up. We did recoup some dollars from that. If you see in the funding request, we got an insurance check for around $32,000. And then the remaining, we're looking to reverting dollars and then also requesting host dollars as well. We spent like the past 6 months to a year getting architectural drawings and all that stuff to try to make it something. We wanted it to be a little bit more artistic than it was prior. And this is kind of what we came up with. As you can see, it's a pretty nice facility. Should be around for a long time. And I'm looking for approval to move forward. We did get some really good deals on items there. I think almost everyone is local except for the structure guy. The structure guy, I mean, he's from Danville, but he works just outside of Danville. So I think we did a good job there, kind of staying local too. So something we've been working on, and feel free to take any questions or.
So Will, I know that you've been working really hard on that and getting the price down, below 150. I mean, at one time, how high was it?
It was up to $225,000. The park board pretty much told me to stay under $150,000, so that was my goal, and we did that, and really thankful to the quotes that we do have because they were really lenient and working with us as well.
Are you satisfied with the structure and the?
Yeah, I'm excited, for sure. It's a long time coming, and then we also already have some things in the works. It didn't go as fast as I'd want, but nothing seems to ever go as fast as I want. So I'm hoping that it will be done by the end of the summer, maybe catch that last concert, but we'll look to have kind of like a grand opening, if you guys do say yes, probably next year, and do a larger act in that too, something where we could bring out a lot of people, probably have a ribbon cutting and all that stuff.
So Superintendent Lacey's presented his plan, so at this point, I'm going to request that the council go to your next agenda item, which is a host fund project, a request for funds, and this is to, in fact, fund the amphitheater.
All right. Host fund project.
Saw is what you get.
Pretty much what you have on there is a breakdown. There's no actual tax dollars in it as well, which is kind of cool because non-reverting is all funds that we generate for the park. So we are putting investment in it at just as much as the host would be putting investment in it. So that's kind of a cool thing is, there's really no tax dollars taken hand and the public gets the benefit of it. So I think it's a win-win all around. If you have any questions, shoot them at me.
So Jenny, this is probably for Jenny. I assume that we have the funds for this.
Lucy, did you hear the question?
I did, and yes, we do. There are sufficient funds in both the non-reverting and the host.
Okay.
So do we vote for both of these at one time?
Yes, you can, the one, he's looking for consensus because it really has already been approved by previous council. The use of the funds, he's looking for an actual vote.
I understand. What about the cameras on the project?
There'll be that's a separate
Okay.
project from this one. We have 3 host fund projects we're coming to you with.
Is there any further discussion about funding from the host fund to complete the amphitheater in Ellis Park? Are we ready to take a vote?
You're ready to call for a?
Okay, we
motion?
need somebody to move that we approve this.
I move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Mrs. Piercy, the motion was made by Mr. Winters and then seconded by Mr. Gerald. Madam Vice President, are you ready to call for a vote?
Yes.
And we're ready to call for the vote.
Greg Van Leer,
Aye.
Nancy Levitt,
Aye.
Aye.
Tom Pato,
Aye.
Votes aye.
David Winters,
Aye.
Votes aye.
Chris Gerald.
Aye. Votes aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Stay up
You
for
going
the
to stay
next
up here
one.
for the cameras?
I can't.
All right. Seeking approval to move forward with the installation of cameras.
So this was another project, just, I've never been up here twice asking for money, but just so falls on the same time. This is a long project coming. Really, it's about security of this building. And then also, it's really two projects in one, kind of, because the Wi-Fi also. But some of those go hand in hand with some of the things that we have already. We've been working, we've got designs, I laid in front of you there, the cabling diagram, so you can kind of see this building is a nightmare to run cable through because it's like different add-ons everywhere. So it takes a lot of work, and that's a large part of the cost is the cabling. But really, it's the most important part, and it's the part that if times change, like right now we have CCTV cameras, we're jumping into HD. There'll be something that comes along. We'll still have the cabling always, which is really the bulk of this project is the cabling. So the Wi-Fi, as you can see, if you try to get Wi-Fi signal in here right now, you probably have one bar. The Wi-Fi part of this will make it seamless to go anywhere in the building and be seamless each room. We have a lot of fire-rated walls. So the Wi-Fi doesn't go through those, so we need to put spots all around Town Hall. And that's really what we're looking to do. We already have some of this stuff, so it does make this a little bit cheaper, which is nice. We brought One Choice in because really if we have any issues, we're going to end up asking them to help anyways. And then also Corey from One Choice spent 15 years in this industry doing the same things. So we're kind of relying on him and his expertise to help make it a better product, because our department put in the last set of cameras and it was great for the time, but now we know all of our mistakes kind of, and that we're not experts in that field. And that's really why we wanted to go out and have experts looking at, all of our safety zones. Right out front here, we do have a drop-off zone for families where they exchange kids. They do a drop-off. And right now, the camera that goes out there is, you couldn't tell which blob is which. So, we have a lot of things that we do. We have 1,200 members at the DAC. The more people, more problems usually. So we really want to make sure that we're secure when we, have all these things going on, and that everyone's safe and that someone's always watching. We only have usually one person working at the DAC. So this is like almost having two. It's having that extra set of eyes. The police side actually doesn't have any cameras on their side except for maybe one camera in the evidence room. So this would give them so many more capabilities on what they do, interrogating, and there's a couple other spots too that we'd have cameras in there as well.
So what's One Choice's
So what's their part in it?
Yeah, what's their part in
So
it?
their part is, so if you see the drawings in front of you there that I brought, he pretty much helped us lay out everything in it, and he's going to make sure that we're getting the service that we request and that it's accurate to what we're looking for. He knows our building, he knows everything about what we do, and he knows our technology limits, I would say. So the system's going to be way easier for the novice to pull video off of. And really, right now, the system, you almost have to call me every time to pull video off of it, which is, it's okay, and I do it, but, it would be way better if the police, if they wanted something, they could just jump on there, pull it, and then they have their evidence right there.
So how many total cameras are?
I think there was like 64.
And all of these are just going in Town Hall?
Yeah. So Town Hall is, because, like I said, with the cabling nightmare, it's also a security nightmare because everything was an add-on. So there's a lot of spots that you can't get to. And then also, there's a 300-foot limit on, where you can run cat cable. So now we have to have a couple of stations where we run from here, run power to both, and then they can run outside from there. And that's the problem we had when we were running it too, like the front camera, it's like at 301, and so you lose signal the farther you go. So you want them really close to where they're connecting. And then the goal would be, so this happens, we get the brain in, and the brain's really the most important piece to this. And then each department now can do their own version of this. Like the park is going to need to have some sort of camera upgrade because we have the same that we put in this building. So our goal would be maybe next year looking at, those opportunities, and we can just put those in little pieces. But we have the most issues here in this building. And that's why we wanted to kind of focus on making this building our signature piece. And now departments, if they want to be a part of it, they have to follow our system. They can't go on any of their own systems. They have to follow ours. So that if the police need to grab any footage, they can grab it from anywhere.
And are these cameras also able to record audio?
If we want them to, yes.
And do we want them to?
Maybe the police cameras, we can do audio, and we can do some in some places, but we could choose to turn that on and off. They'll have the capability.
Okay.
I have the same question for Jenny on this one. Looking at the dollars, I'd asked you earlier, there's a pretty big disparity on
Yes.
on one of those
Yeah.
one of those quotes. So I assume we've looked at the money and all this, and we're good on that.
Mrs. Pearson?
Yeah.
Okay.
From what we did have projected in that too, so we had separate projects in there and we just combined them into one. So really the dollars that we had in there are pretty close to what it needs to be. And so we just decided, hey, let's just put them together and make it one project. And then that way, because it's really, the wiring is the big thing, making sure we have all the infrastructure in there. And so then we can do two things at one time. So it benefits, the security benefits probably more police, park side, and maybe admin, where the Wi-Fi benefits everyone in the whole building. So kind of everyone gets an upgrade with it as well.
I'm kind of curious about the audio version of this. Are there any kind of civil ramifications that, if somebody turned on the audio? And
That's why I would, one person will have the admin rights to it besides One Choice, and we will probably turn off the audio
Okay.
because of that reason. So, and we do have two cameras down at the DAC that we have audio at the front counter. And that's just for liability reasons for us if there was ever a dispute. The clerk treasurer's office may want audio on theirs too, because they do have customers that come in that are pretty volatile at times. So those may be the only times. And we'll have signage, just like we do now, live video monitoring. It's at 2 or 3 of the entrances in the building.
Any other discussion or questions for Will? Are we ready to have a motion and a second on this?
I can make a motion that we approve the camera project from the host.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the camera project. We're ready for a vote.
Mr. Van Leer made the motion. Mr. Gerald made the second. Madam Vice President has called for the vote.
Greg Van Leer,
Aye.
Votes aye.
Nancy,
Aye.
Votes aye.
Tom Pato,
Votes aye.
David Winters,
Aye.
Votes aye.
Chris Gerald.
Aye. Votes aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're not going to stay up here for the fireworks, are you?
And I will do an example of, once we have everything installed, I would love to have you guys come in and kind of show you, what we're getting for the dollars too. Because I think that's really important to you guys. I could tell from your questions. So I want to make sure you get the value out of what we're doing. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Vice President, the next item I'm going to keep as simple as I can make it. We've had 2 requests for funding for fireworks. One is the week prior to the 4th of July. One is the week of 4th of July, or the actual date. We've had an unusual circumstance. Rib Fest, Hendricks County, has come into Danville this year. It'll be held at the Hendricks County Fairgrounds. They had normally been supported by the Avon Town Council, and so they've made a request to us for $10,000 for fireworks. Also, the Danville Chamber of Commerce normally has fireworks with their Family Fourth Fest. They've chosen not to do Family Fourth Fest, but they still want to do the fireworks because it's been a Danville tradition for, I don't even know how many years. Superintendent Whitaker seems to believe it was back when he was a kid, I'm not sure. So, so the request on the table is the council willing to fund $24,000 for fireworks for 2 separate displays?
And I will add to this, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So as part of the host fund annual expenditures, we always expend for the chamber's fireworks as part of our annual budget. If you guys vote to do the Rib Fest as well, that would be considered a priority project and would come out of the host priority project line. There are sufficient funds if you guys do want to fund both. Even though it's not a budgeted item, we would just increase the priority projects and add this as one for the 2020 budget. But the chamber is just part of the annual expenditures.
So they only would need to vote for the $10,000 for the Rib Fest, correct?
Well, they can go ahead and vote for both since we have them both on the agenda. I just wanted to let you guys know that the chamber portion of it has been part of the annual budget.
Thank you.
So has the 14,000 for the chamber fireworks, has that always been 14,000 or?
It's gone up over the years, but for the last several, it's been 14.
Okay.
They've usually found funds to match it. They spend a little more than $14,000 on their program. If you've seen it, it's pretty elaborate.
As far as the funding for the Rib Fest, is that money that we have to pay fairly quickly? And the reason I'm asking is because who knows what happens with anything at this point.
Right.
If we start throwing money out there, do we have recourse on that in the event things get pushed back or canceled?
I have to be honest, I've not worked with them before. I don't know what pyrotechnician they utilize. I'm
Okay.
only familiar with Ramsey Pyrotechnics, which does the one out at the high school. And Phil's usually extremely easy to deal with, but I don't know who.
Did we sign a contract to do this, or is this just,
The Rib Fest would be the ones that would sign the contract. They're just looking for financial support from us.
I just wonder if there could be something in there that gives us a, you know,
A non-display clause?
yeah, something like
I
that.
don't know what else to call it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it would be called.
Mark, are you in regular communication with the Rib Fest folks or?
Actually, Chief Roberts has been in contact with them through the Visit Hendricks County. Because
I wonder if there may be a reimbursement. I mean, I understand what you're saying, David, you know, I mean, considering where we're at right now, is fireworks even going to happen in July? Who knows?
away.
But
do you know what vendor they've chose to use, Rob? I forgot Chief Hilton is been involved. You think it's Phil Ramsey? It's Phil. He's pretty easy to deal with. We've dealt with him
Okay.
for years. Yeah, he's here local. The fairgrounds has used someone from Ohio, I think, before, and they've not been the easiest to get permits from. Phil usually, once he signs a contract, he's got his permits to us within usually 2 weeks. He's ready to go. He's pretty good to deal with.
All that being said, I mean, if this goes forward, I think this is a good thing for the town. I think it's good exposure, and if we promote it right, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll have some clarity. Were you going to add something?
I was just going to add that, you know, what can be done is you can approve the funding, but then allow Mark and myself or whomever to discuss it with the RibFest people to make an indication saying, listen, we're in as long as the event occurs.
Sure,
And
okay.
so you have that backing, but if there's not an event where, or the fireworks at least, that funding's not going
Any other discussion? Well, then we can get a motion to fund the fireworks for the Rib Fest and the 4th of July together. Okay, can I hear a motion for that?
Just to clear the record, I don't know that you'll need one for the,
Oh, yeah.
the chamber, because
Just
it's already
for
budgeted,
RibFest.
it's been approved.
Okay.
So I would
Let's just
consider it
focus
for
on
chamber.
the Rib Fest.
I move to approve the funding for the Rib Fest.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the funding for fireworks for the Rib Fest.
Are you ready for a vote?
Sure.
Mrs. Piercy, Mr. Winters made the motion, Mr. Gerald has seconded, and Vice President has called for the vote.
Greg Van Leer,
Aye.
Votes aye.
Nancy Levitt,
Aye.
Votes aye.
Tom Pato,
Votes aye.
David Winters,
Aye.
Votes aye.
Chris Gerald.
Aye.
Votes aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we have before us a request to hire an attorney for the Police Merit Board. We will need to authorize the Police Merit Board to hire an attorney, and Taft Law represents the town presently and cannot represent the Merit Board. And we have the Chief of Police up here to talk to us about this.
Madam Vice President, council members, I come before you tonight to talk about the Police Merit Board attorney. Taft Law has basically recommended an attorney to represent the Merit Board separate from Taft Law. I spoke with Clerk Treasurer Piercy today. She advised me that there's sufficient funds in the host professional services to cover these fees. It's the same funds that covers Taft Law's fees. I met with this attorney. She came out to our Merit Board the other night. She's very highly recommended from Taft Law. She was a police officer who worked undercover narcotics for years, put herself through law school. She was a deputy prosecutor in Marion County, worked major crimes and felony cases. And then she's now into municipal law, my understanding, and she does this on the side with merit boards, represents them. Very highly recommended from Taft, and we all liked her. Newly elected president of the Merit Board, Jim Stevens, is here. He'd like to address the council real fast. That's okay?
Very good.
Thank you. For the same reason here, of course, but I also thought it'd be a good idea. After each meeting, we did have our first official meeting Monday. Thought it'd be a good idea going forward to perhaps come in the first available council meeting to give you an update of what we accomplished and what we're working towards in the Merit Board meeting. So first of all, I do want to thank you as the council on behalf of myself, on behalf of Pete, Tracy Jones. You are the ones who put us on the Merit Board. We certainly all view it as a privilege and an honor, take it very serious, and work very hard at it. I want to thank you for that. I want to thank Caitlin with Taft and also Jenny Piercy. It sounds like they did work. We did discover in our meeting Monday that we needed to expedite some things, so it does look like they worked closely together pretty quick to get us on the agenda tonight. So it is a important task to try to get this passed tonight for sure. Again, we did have our first meeting. All 5 members were in attendance, along with Chief Hilton, Dakota with Van Leeuwen, I believe is a proper pronunciation for that, and Caitlin with Taft. Like Chief said, she came very highly recommended, quite the resume. She got up, spoke, introduced herself. Being that it was the first meeting, we were basically, it was a little bit of an interview process as well as just trying to get the meeting up and going. We did, eventually, we took a vote amongst the entire commission, and it was unanimous decision to retain her conditionally, pending the outcome of the meeting this evening. Obviously, the positive outcome tonight is what we're looking for so that we can continue forward. There are some pretty stringent timelines. We are about 30-plus days since we have been put on the board. We essentially have about a 90-day total window from the time we're on there to have some rules, all of our rules and regulations voted on and adopted. So we have about 60 days left, ballpark. Prior to doing that, we do have to have a meeting, which we have scheduled for the 4th of May. That will allow, basically what happens is, once we get this approved, I'm thinking positive, we will be able to start communicating back and forth the entire commission along with Dakota, basically bouncing back ideas, additions, subtractions, things like that, leaning on her heavily for this, and we will come up with a draft of our rules and regulations. On the 4th of May, we have what we're calling a special meeting scheduled where the public can come in, look at them, comment on them if necessary. They have a desire to, and assuming that goes well, I believe the next step after that is we will schedule an additional special meeting. I'm not positive. We may be able to accomplish that evening. Wasn't real clear on that, but I believe we will have to schedule an additional special meeting 10 days later so that we can take a vote and adopt our rules and regulations so that we're within code guidelines by the state. So we have a few days leeway in there, but not a lot of days of leeway. Like Chief said, I was elected to be the president. Pete Lynch was elected to be the vice president. Tracy Jones as the secretary. Collectively, as a group, I think we're going to work together very well. I honestly do. Other than that, the only other thing I think would be important to know, just for you all to know, our scheduled meetings going forward for the rest of this year are June 15th, September 21st, and December 21st, all at 6:30. Of course, if there's any other special meetings or any other items like that, we'll let you know as soon as possible. And again, I'll just kind of make it a kind of a rule to after each meeting to get in here and kind of keep you guys up to date of what we're doing, and if anything important or anything out of the ordinary, then we'll just handle that. Consistent basis.
Thank you, Jim. I do have a quick question for you. I attended that meeting,
Yes.
and I didn't quite catch it, but is Dakota's fee, is that a flat fee? Is it an hourly fee?
Hourly fee.
Hourly fee?
Yep, appeared to be an hourly fee. The only I did have a question was based on travel. I don't know if Jewel, is that a typical situation where you pay for any travel?
She didn't, in her engagement, it's $2.50 an hour. I'm sure that we can have discussions with her to say travel time included in that. Just to clarify, this will be the only time that this council will have to. What it really is it's a funding mechanism. The Merit Commission itself needs to have a budget going forward. They just weren't in existence last year, so they couldn't put it into the budgetary process. So going forward, all of this stuff will be part of the town budget. They will have their own budget in which to operate and then execute the contracts. Signature lines on this contract are for the Merit Commission for execution, so it's the funding mechanism for the contract that they're.
So if that's going to be, if they'll have their own budget, will that budget be inside the host or outside the host?
My guess is it will be a mixture of both, but I don't know the finances directly well enough. But there will be some expenses. There will be some expenses that may have to be covered by the host fund. Others will be covered by your tax revenues. Just as the way it breaks out, the largest percentage of your the tax revenue, so your levy, is public safety. And so with this being the body that oversees the police department it's going to be expected that some of those tax revenues.
The question is on the possible budget next year for the Police Merit Board, will that be completely from host, or will it be a mixture of host and general? Our council's advising more than likely there'll be some general obligation or general fund from help paying for it.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So really, all you'll need to do is approve the expenditure of the money, and then the Police Merit Board will be the ones that will actually sign the contract with this attorney.
All right. Is there any other discussion about the approving the expenditure of money for this legal advisor for the Police Merit Board? All right, let's put it up to a vote after we have a motion and a second on this.
What'd you say, Mark?
We're
Can
just
I-
waiting on a motion.
Can I
I'll make a motion to approve.
Oh, David Winters made a motion to approve. And I'll second it if I can. No? Okay. We need a
We
second.
need a second.
Second.
Mr. Pato?
Yes, second.
Okay.
We're ready for a vote then.
Mrs. Piercy, the motion was made by Mr. Winters, seconded by Mr. Pato to approve the expenditure for the Police Merit Board. Vice President is called for the vote.
Greg Van Leer,
Aye.
Votes aye.
Nancy Levitt,
Aye.
Votes aye.
Todd Pato,
Aye.
Votes aye.
David Winters,
Aye.
Votes aye.
Chris Gerald.
Aye.
Votes aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Get it going.
Now we've come to a part where we're going to discuss whether we will resolve to close the town facilities and grounds to the public.
I'm going to turn this over to our counsel. He's worked diligently to draft this resolution. My involvement truly was putting Resolution 2-20 on it. So I'm going to turn this over to him.
President, members of the council, this is in response to obviously the COVID-19 issue that we're faced with. The governor just yesterday released his executive order 20-4, which changes some things a little bit more and makes it more drastic. Gives certain powers to the town and to other municipalities of how they handle their meetings, such as an electronic meeting with individuals on the phone. Gives powers regarding how you can approve claims. Gives directives that meetings should be for your, the essential operations of the town, to limit your agendas to that moving forward. And it is all in the light of attempting to reduce the spread and effect of the curve of the coronavirus. And so the language of this ordinance, what it indicates is that the town hall will be closed to the public outside of open door meetings. So our meetings still must be, even if it's electronic, open door, so the public can come and view, listen, and have the opportunity to record. Outside of that, it will be closed to the public. It includes your parks, because the reason and rationale for this resolution is to prevent people from the ability of congregating to spread this. So the work that is in here, there are some communities that have said, okay, work from home, that kind of situation. We've left it to the point in this resolution that you come in to do your work, and it's up to the department heads, the discretion of the town, to move forward, whether or not people have to come in, do that. But discussions that I've had with both Mr. Morgan and with Ms. Piercy is when you look at those departments, the vast majority of that work is not set up to be be done remotely, which is fully understandable because you're talking about town finances, town funds, town projects. And so in many cases, unless you have invested in a network that has your VPN set up, that you can log in and that thing is locked down, you really don't want documents moving around. You don't want things being shuffled, because those documents are public documents and you can't lose them. Lose them, we open ourselves up to certain issues. So as this is written, people will be coming into town for work unless it's just not that situation. The executive order for, the governor did indicate that he is working with State Board of Accounts, and State Board of Accounts has come out with a advisory that if a member of your personnel is in a household where an individual is contracted coronavirus, they can take time, sick leave, but that sick leave will not be counted against the accrued leave that they have made through the town. That is outside and above thing to kind of keep into consideration as you move forward. This is a changing situation. I fully expect that there will be additional press conferences tomorrow that will address more situations, just from what I've been hearing, including schools. And so we'll see what becomes of this, but this is in direct response to what the governor has indicated.
I don't know what Mr. Pato's doing, but
It's kind of distracting, actually. I apologize. I had a hard time trying to listen to counsel.
Willing on my end.
I'm sorry. Mr. Pato, I don't know what you have going on over there, but it's very noisy.
Oh, it's noisy over here.
Yes, sir.
Sorry.
That's all right. So anyway, before you, I'm willing to answer any questions as well. And Mr.
Actually, I have a
Tracy's-
question for Will. Will, shutting down the park, I mean, I know we have a swing gate at the front of the, off of 36. There's a swing gate up by the pool. Is there one back
As
going
far
on to
as
Columbia?
Lower Ellis Park, we'll call it, kind of like the main part of the park, playscape area. We can shut down that to vehicles, but pretty much that's about it. And really all the kids that were there were walking. So that one's going to be very difficult. Do you want us to police that? Or
I think I don't think that's a good idea to, have a bunch of kids walk down to the park and then maybe their families get a citation or something. I'm not sure about that idea.
or we just say it's not allowed and kind of
Well,
at will?
I'll throw out an opinion and then I'll ask a question. But I think this is government overreach. And you've got a lot of kids that are going to be home now until at least April 6th. Now we can't congregate in public. It's a little silly if you ask me. But the question is, on that, how are we going to police that? Are we going to use our law enforcement resources to harass kids? I just don't see closing a public space. I understand what you were saying, even before the meeting, about infecting others and things like that. But I don't know. How do we mitigate that?
And there is no real way to do it. I mean, this virus is going to be addressed by everybody policing themselves.
Sure.
And so by making a resolution which the park is closed, that puts everybody on notice. This is a serious thing. Whether people congregate, I mean, we've heard it from the president, don't get in groups of more than 10. Or in a group more than 10. There are situations that arise. But there are others out there that will have that situation. I would not be surprised to see that guidance even drop further. I would not recommend using resources to go police and go write citations. So it's similar to kind of some of the other proclamations that are out there in the executive orders. You have different executives who have closed down gyms, closed down other types of things in the communities. The question is, how do you enforce that? There may not be an enforcement, but what it is it's that community saying, we're taking this seriously. And your own health, we cannot stop you from coming to a public meeting. We cannot stop you from going to the grocery store. We cannot stop you from making decisions. But just be mindful that the decisions you make could have impacts on others. Because who knows where those kids go to. If they congregate down there at the park, their family may be fine. Maybe everybody is in good health. Maybe everybody's under 60. But if one of those other kids that comes to that park has a grandparent that they get around, who has a compromised immunity, or falls into one of those groups, that interaction now has infected that person who may be trying to self-quarantine and keep themselves distanced from it. So it's more of a statement of, that's what it is, but this is your resolution, this is your town. And so you have to make that decision. I placed it in there because it was the spirit of what was looking for. If you want to make amendments to that, it can be done. So.
Well, and I think assuming we all accept the critical nature of it, I could certainly understand indoor where there's no ventilation or, less ventilation. But I'm just one person.
I agree with Mr. Winters. I can see you guys closed the restrooms down in the park, and you've closed the athletic center. It's locked. I don't know. I just think people are going to be smart enough to stay away from other people if, because of everything. Everything's being closed.
Well, and we're talking about the park here, so they could congregate outside the swinging gates, and then what are you going to do? I mean,
Yeah, it's
we're a
just,
foot on the other side, we're okay.
it's like we're closing the outside. I don't know. Does anybody else have an opinion? Because I'm willing to be. We have someone from the public who wants to, I'm sorry. We had time for public
didn't have
comment
anything.
before.
Your option if you want to allow someone to speak. I don't have any request forms. Somebody here that wants to speak, is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Okay. It's up to you, Madam Vice President, if you want to allow it. Is that right, Jewel?
Well, we'll allow it for a couple of minutes.
Trying to influence anybody anyway. All I know is having, as a parent, trying to do the e-learn with the kids, and then taking away the only outlet that they actually could actually get, you are going to have a lot of parents that are very frustrated and everything else, and it'll make tensions rise more.
Could we get your name for the
Heather
record?
Phillips,
Heather Phillips.
yes.
Okay. And do you live in Danville?
Yes. I'm a mother of 3, and my boys are supposed to be playing baseball and everything else, and that's all been suspended. And I understand the reasons why. I'm not mad about that. I'm not upset about that, but they need to actually be allowed outside. Our apartment community is closing all communal areas. Our communal areas are anything outside. Where are our kids supposed to go? We're recommended to go outside to get some vitamin D's from the sun. But yet, if you guys close parks, where can we go?
Okay. Thank you for your opinion. Got any more discussion here?
I want to clarify, is this resolution 2, number 2?
Yes, it is.
Okay, we haven't used that number?
No, our first resolution is number 1, which was for the CCD rate. And that was on for tonight's agenda.
Okay, right.
And I've not seen any other resolutions come through. I had Lisa pull it up on Laserfish, and she said number 2 was the next resolution.
Okay, very good. I just wanted to double check my notes here. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
An option could be to close the gates to driving traffic, because if you're driving into the park, you're gonna have more people that are driving in, but walkable. I don't know, I'm just trying to think of a compromise. Technically, you could still
park on the
North
other
Park
side
and walk
and walk
over, yeah.
across.
But it gives the, it kind of matches what Jewel was saying. Kind of make it, setting a precedent, but the option is still there. I mean, you can't take away the option really without police.
So would we just change the language to say it will be closed to vehicle traffic?
Yeah.
Is that an option?
So this resolution, how it's written, is a suggestion for you guys. However you want to make amendments to it, it is your document to do with. I can't can't remember exactly which paragraph we talk about that, but I think it's the same paragraph that we talk about the closing of the town hall. And so it would be the first motion would be motion to amend resolution to encompass the language that you guys want it to encompass. Take action on that, and then
Now, Jewel, if we don't, close the parks and somebody gets sick, then is Danville open to liability?
that is going to, I cannot tell you that somebody won't try and sue you, but the ability to prove that is going to be so
Right, because we're not
stretched.
forcing anybody to go to the park.
You're not, and unless it was the only place that was open and things of that nature, but you can contract this from so many different places. The causality of that would be almost impossible to prove. And with a municipality, we have comparative fault, so the percentages that have to play out, we have a lot of things working in our favor against something like that, so I cannot tell you that, no, you can never be sued for it, but what I can tell you is, if there was a suit on that.
So we could amend the resolution to, because I understand why you'd want to close this town hall for people just, coming in to pay their water bill when they can drop it out there. They don't need to be coming into the office. They can make a phone call, but, so we can separate that from the parks, closing the parks.
I mean,
Okay.
if you just want to leave it where you're not closing the parks, I would suggest that the modification or the amendment would be to strike, I think it's including the parks.
6, where it says, access to all town facilities, including town parks and recreational facilities. It appears, I think it wouldn't interrupt the flow if you just put if you struck town parks.
Chief Helton?
It's also in section 3.
Chief Helton, is this something that, if we pass this resolution, is this something that, I'll say, that the police would need to enforce?
Like Mr. Lee said, I think it'd be really hard to enforce people gathering in groups of 10 or more. It would be really hard for us to do. There's no actual penalty for that right now that I know of. There's no state law, there's no local ordinance that I could really enforce. Besides getting on a loudspeaker and trying to get them to disperse, I don't know what else we could really do.
Nothing to see here.
That doesn't work.
I just strike this, and then they'd sign it.
I'll just add one, and obviously regardless of what we do here, we'll have to publish this, so the public will know. Maybe it's just a matter of putting, in addition to this, a high caution of, hey, please use discretion, in going places, and make sure that can precede something like this too. Since if we don't close the parks, then at least we're reminding them of the obvious, use discretion.
Is there any other discussion about this?
Chief.
Is if you want to make a motion to amend, you'd be striking town parks out of paragraph 6 and also out of section 3 of the resolution.
Okay, so we would strike the parks out of paragraph 6 and also section 3.
Just a clarification, would we leave recreation facilities in there? Because that probably covers DAC and everything, right? Okay, yeah.
Does anyone want to make a motion regarding this?
I'll make a motion to strike town parks from this resolution.
Do I have a second?
Seeking a second for the motion to strike town parks out of the resolution.
Second.
We're ready for a vote, I suppose.
Mrs. Piercy, a motion's been made to amend the resolution by striking the words town parks out of paragraph 6 and section 3 of the resolution. Motion was made by Mr. Winters and seconded by Mr. Gerald. Vice President has called for the vote.
Craig Van Leer,
Aye.
Nancy Levitt,
Aye.
Votes aye.
Tom Pato,
Aye.
Votes aye.
David Winters,
Aye.
Votes aye.
Chris Gerald.
Aye.
Votes aye.
Thank you.
Do I just need to strike parks or town parks? Probably be parks since town facilities are included.
Now where are we?
Madam Vice
Mr.
President, I have the resolution before me of resolution number 2-2020, a resolution addressing the town of Danville's response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and it has been amended with striking the words parks out of two sections of it. Ready for a motion? So choose.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2-2020.
I have a second.
Second.
We're ready for a vote.
Mrs. Piercy, a motion's been made to approve the resolution with the amendments by Mr. Winters, seconded by Mr. Gerald. Madam Vice President has called for the vote.
Craig Van Leer,
Aye.
Votes aye.
Nancy Levitt,
Votes aye.
Tom Pato,
Aye.
Votes aye.
David Winters,
Aye.
Votes aye.
Chris Gerald.
Aye.
Votes aye.
Thank you.
Madam Vice President, that's all I have immediately on the agenda. I do believe that we have a couple of staff comments, if you'd be willing to take them.
First, could we hear from the fire chief?
That was one of the staff comments.
Oh,
ma'am.
okay.
Yep.
Good evening. If we can just make sure that we're following the information provided by the CDC, the state and local public health departments, and the MS officials. As of today, cases, Boone County has 1, Johnson County has 3 cases with 1 death, Marion County has 11 cases with 1 death, Hendricks County has 4 cases, Hamilton County has 2 cases. We've during our protocols at the fire department, on standard EMS runs, we've asked the police department not to respond with us. If we need them, we'll request them. We're only allowing 2 people in to a structure at a time to provide EMS coverage. If we can walk the patient out into fresh air, we're walking that patient outside. Fresh air is our friend right now. Please just make sure that you guys are wiping things down, and we're definitely wiping the medic truck down a couple times a day. And I really don't want to jinx ourselves, but as of right now, we've had 0 cases. And that's what I wanted to report to the council.
That's excellent.
One other thing you may see, you will see some tents going up at Hendricks Regional Health in the parking lot. They are going to set up some tents. There'll be 5 building off of Meadow Drive. They're going to open that up. And they have opened up a 24-hour hotline, and I do not have that number with me, so I apologize.
Beyond the response that we put to the public that we're advising that we're closing the building, the hotline is actually on that, the
Okay,
press
good.
release.
I'm sorry, what were the tents for? Just to, in case we have
Additional
a-
space that they may need, and they may do drive-up testing at that point.
Gotcha, okay.
So any updates that like I've been sending you guys emails, I'll continue to do that.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Another staff comment?
I've just got a couple. I don't know if anybody else had anything. If not, I want to make the council aware we're still planning on doing a community cleanup day on April the 18th. It involves nothing from our staff or us. Waste Management allows citizens of the town of Danville to bring in waste from the hours of 7 a.m. to noon. They will be required to have a driver's license. We'll send out flyers with the water bills, but as of this time, Waste Management has not canceled that date on us, so, because there's a limited interaction, obviously. The other thing, if you recall at the work-study session, I brought to your attention that the previous council approved for me to appoint an assistant town manager, and I had 2 candidates apply, and I'd like to announce my appointment tonight with the council's blessings. I'd like to congratulate Will Lacey. Will has been truly part of the Three Amigos from the day that we had our own meltdown, I guess, here in the town. I don't know what else to call it. But Will and I work very well together, and I've talked with Will. He's willing to accept the position, and I want to congratulate Will on becoming the town's assistant town manager, and I believe he's got some family and friends and that would like to congratulate. Maybe we can get a picture, if nobody has a problem with that, of with his family and everything, once everything's over.
That's fine. Congratulations,
Congratulations,
Will.
Will.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. too.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mark, I want to be in the picture. Just hold the phone up.
It's Will's phone, so that'll work out real well. So,
Okay, just hold your phone up so I get the picture.
but no, I will tell you that these last, probably this last week has been extremely trying. I've tried to keep you all apprised of everything that's been going on. I know you've probably gotten tired of being inundated by my emails, but I felt that everything that I've sent you has been important enough that you needed to see it. I will tell you, I could not do this without the support and the staff, and Will's been extremely instrumental being side by side with me the whole time, and even when I don't ask him if he'll help with something, he's always going, "What can I help you with?" So I genuinely appreciate it. So that's all I have tonight.
You gotta keep doing
We'll see. You know what they say about money talks, right?
Are there any other comments?
I have one, if I can make it, please.
Yes.
I want to congratulate Will, and I will be bringing before you an amendment to the salary ordinance so that we can add the position. When the 2020 budget was approved, we did not have a salary on the salary ordinance for the assistant town manager because we didn't know what direction we were going to take at that time. So I will be coming before you with an amendment to the salary ordinance for this.
All right.
Thank you.
I was just going to say thank you, Mark and Will, and everyone else who's been working hard the last couple of weeks. I know it hasn't been easy. You've been sending out emails and keeping us in line with everything, so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Communication's really important. Keep sending them, because I'd rather have too much information than not enough.
It doesn't
And
take that long to read.
That's right.
I just hate doing it to you at 3 in the morning when I'm sitting awake reading them.
And that's fine, that's fine.
It's when I'm thinking about sending them. So.
When we get up.
Yes, sir.
Claim dockets?
Move to approve.
Do you need to call a roll call on that? Or would you prefer?
We need to vote on it.
You want me to do a roll call on that? Would you like to have Jenny do a roll call?
If we need to.
Jenny, do you normally do a roll call on the claim docket?
Yes, I will.
Okay. I believe the motion was made by
Greg?
Greg Van Leer, seconded by David Winters, and Vice President is called for the vote.
Greg Van Leer,
Votes aye.
Nancy Levitt,
Votes aye.
Tom Pato,
Aye.
Votes aye.
David Winters,
Aye.
Votes aye.
Chris Gerald.
Aye.
Votes aye.
I need a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting.
Can I add one? I'm sorry, I didn't know we went around the horn.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I just have one thing I want to let you guys know about. Thursday, May 14th and Friday, May 15th, There is a clerk treasurer's budget school at the Embassy Suites in Plainfield. I will be attending both days. I didn't know, I wanted to open it up if anyone would like to attend with me, especially since it's so close. I wanted to make you guys aware of that. I usually start the budget process after I've attended the workshop because it's very insightful from the State Board of Accounts and the Department of Local Government Finance, the information we receive those 2 days. So we'll usually start the budget process in June. But I wanted to let you guys know that the Clerk Treasurer's Budget School is May 14th and 15th at the Embassy Suites in Plainfield. And it's all day it either starts at 8 or 8:30 a.m. and goes till 4 or 4:30.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn the meeting.
It's been moved and seconded for the meeting to be adjourned. If you want to make a roll call on that? I don't know if you do normally or not.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Everybody said aye. I think they're ready to go.
Meeting is adjourned.
Aye, aye, aye.
Thank you
Thank
both.
you.
Welcome.
Thank you.